Ohio State has announced their starting quarterback for this season. They're rolling with Julian Sayin, who has won Ohio State's quarterback competition over Lincoln Ken Colts. Julian Sayin has the talent to go down as the best quarterback that this program has ever had. He was Nick Saban's final quarterback that he recruited to Bama. He stayed for a cup of coffee at Bama when Nick Saban said that he was retiring. A few days later, he hit the portal and he came up north to Columbus. When Julian Sayin was coming out of high school, there was a lot of hype around him for very good reason. He was MVP of the Elite 11 competition. Coming out of the state of California, he was a prolific quarterback in high school. And there were reports, even though we didn't really see Julian Sayin play that much during the regular season, during the offseason and spring, summer of 2024, there were a lot of folks saying that Julian Sayin was the most accurate quarterback that Ohio State had on the roster last year, which is high praise. And I know that there's only so much you can go off when it comes to spring camp, practice reports, but nobody gives you that kind of praise at Ohio State unless it's justified. Julian Sayin shifts Ohio State's offense into a different gear. He has a similar mentality and a similar skill set to C.J. Stroud. He's calm in the pocket. He's better under pressure than what Will Howard was. He also throws with elite anticipation, which is going to help Ohio State's wide receivers, Tate, Ennis, Jeremiah Smith, generate more yards after the catch. He also has way better ball placement and a better deep ball than what Will Howard had. Julian Sayin, from a pure passer standpoint, may have the best mechanics of any quarterback that has ever came through this program. And this isn't hyperbole. This isn't me overhyping Julian Sayin. If you watched him during the spring game, it was pretty evident that he was the better of the two quarterbacks between him and Lincoln Ken Colts, which is why I didn't understand why it was taking Ryan Day so long to announce that Julian Sayin was a starter. A few weeks ago, he was saying that, the competition is still ongoing, it's neck and neck. Judging from that spring game, Julian Sayin has all the goods to immediately become the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And I know we haven't seen anything out of Julian Sayin to justify giving him that praise, but if I had to pick between Drew Aller and Julian Sayin, I'm taking Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin is already, to me, ahead of Drew Aller when it comes to throwing the ball with accuracy, making good decisions. Ohio State isn't going to miss a beat with Julian Sayin in that offense. And there's a possibility that you see Ohio State kind of shift their philosophy on offense. Last year, they more were a run-first offense. They want to pound the rock with Juckins and Henderson. This season, the identity of Ohio State could more so be about throwing the football all over the yard. They got the best receiving core in college football. You got 2 future first-round, maybe 3 first-round wide receivers that Julian Sayin is going to be throwing to, and nobody in America has an answer for that monster Jeremiah Smith, the babyface assassin J.J. Smith. That boy J.J. So, I mean, is it fair to expect with Brian Hartline taking over the play calling, with Chip Kelly departing for the NFL, that we see a more aggressive offense that we didn't see so much out of Ohio State last year? Last year, Ohio State more so played ball control. We don't need to throw the football all over the field to beat you. We're just going to pound the rock. We're going to keep it simple, stupid. This year, though, they have the ability to average well over 40 points per game. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Ohio State put up 50 points per game with Julian Sayin in that quarterback. He just is so much more refined in his mechanics than what Will Howard is that it's hard not to see Ohio State's offense increasing in productivity, which is really high praise when Ohio State had one of the best offenses in America. It doesn't get no better than being top 10 in nearly everything. So how much better can Ohio State get? And that question is what's scary about Ohio State this year. Julian Sayin can take an already hot offense off the stove, put it into the oven, and bake it into something even more delicious. He has the capability to be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. I think that the sky is the limit for Julian Sayin. Now, he does have a tough test early, kicking off his first ever collegiate start against Texas. That's a tough game for anybody. Ohio State is going to have patience with Julian Sayin, because I remember not too long ago when C.J. Stroud first got his opportunity to start for Ohio State, there were a lot of fans that wanted him benched midway through that Oregon game, midway through the Minnesota game. It was a little bit rough, but, you know, once C.J. Stroud finally got comfortable and he found his footing, it was up from there. Julian Sayin, we very much well could see the same thing happen. You know, he kind of starts out a little bit slow, but once you get to about week 4, week 5, that's when you really start seeing Julian Sayin letting it loose. Just saying. Ooh, I've been dying to say that. I know there's going to be so many fun puns that people are going to have with Julian Sayin's last name. Julian Sayin is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year. The talent's there. The accuracy is there. He just has so much of C.J. Stroud in his game that it's kind of hard not to see him being able to immediately insert himself as arguably the best quarterback in this conference this year. I think that we haven't seen the ceiling of Ohio State's offense reached yet. Julian Sayin is already going to take some gas that Ohio State had to burn the fire. He's going to add some more fire to it by throwing that oil on that log, and you're going to end up getting a huge wildfire when you see Ohio State's offense on the field this year. And Julian Sayin is one of the biggest reasons why I believe that Ohio State can repeat as national champions this year. Quarterback play normally is a deterrent when it comes to repeating, going back to back. But I'm confident with the offensive line improving, the wide receiving core being better than anybody in college football. It's hard not to see Julian Sayin being as good as what he's been advertised to be. I have high expectations for him. I watched a lot of his high school career. He's one of the few recruits that I actually kept tabs with. I don't really keep up recruiting all that much, but I kept up with him because his name was always being brought up. And from the reports that everybody has had about him, what the coaching staff is saying about him, Julian Sayin has the potential to go down as an all-time great Buckeyes quarterback.